Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Shekalim Perek Chet Mishnah Gimal. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss if a knife or cleaver was found before the Shahitat Pesach, right? So we know in general, we just said last Mishnah that stam kilim, regular kilim that are found in Yerushalayim, right? There's safek. We're not sure if they're tahor or tameh. So we said they are all tahor, right? Now, when it comes to, and it does, we don't have to dip them. But when it comes to, hamim lo gazur ala kelim b'Yerushalayim, they weren't gozer on kelim found in Yerushalayim. But now when it comes to a korban, there's an extra humrah, because we're talking about a korban and it's kodashim, so there's an extra humrah involved, and therefore we'll see our Mishnah how it deals with certain cases. So now someone, let's say they find a knife, right, a shahita knife on the 14th of Nisan. Do they say, oh, for sure, the people who lost it, they for sure did tevilah to it, they for sure dipped it in the mikveh, and it's tahor, and we're allowed to use it for the Korban Pesach? Or do we say, no, maybe they didn't get a chance to dip it yet, and we should go dip it ourselves? So, sakin shenimtzet be'arba'a asar, shochad b'miyad. If a person finds a sakin, a knife, on the 14th, he's allowed to use it to slaughter his Korban Pesach right away. Right, because minastam, right? Seemingly, everyone would dip their knives, make sure they're kosher, to make sure they're tahor for the shahitat Pesach. But if it's found on bishlosha asar, on the 13th, shoneh matbil, then he needs to go ahead and dip it again, right? Meaning they probably dipped it the first, you have to, similar to the hazah when you sprinkle the blood and sprinkle the efer paraduma on the third and the seventh day. So too over here, you need to go ahead a second time, then and dip it, right? And then it becomes tahor, and you're allowed to use it the following day. That's when it comes to a shahita knife. What about a kofis, right? Kofis and Abams goes with a samech, not a sadi. It's interesting how the letters, especially the way we pronounce it, they're interchangeable, very close, very similar with each other. So kofis is a cleaver, right? They would chop bones with it. Now, you're not allowed to chop a bone of a korban pesach. So what if you found one of these? Could you use it? Now, keep in mind, you are allowed to use a cleaver on the Hagigah, right? The Korban Hagigah, that's fine. It doesn't say the pasuk etzem lo tishbiru bo by the Korban Hagigah. It only says that by the Korban Pesach. So if you find the kofis, bazeh bazeh shelo matbil. Either way, you need to go ahead and dip it, right? Dip it for tahara in the mikveh, because we say that maybe it wasn't, right? It probably wasn't taken care of. Now, what's the difference? Why would we say that the shahita knife probably was on by the 14th, but the kofis, but the cleaver was not? So the Gemara asked this question, right? And because in the end of the day, you could use them both, right? One's used for the Korban Pesach, one's used for the Hagigah. So they end up setting up the case. They in a specific scenario. We're talking about when the Nasi, right, the leader of the of Bnei Israel was Goses. He's on his deathbed, and they're not sure if he's going to die or not. And being so, everyone is going to go ahead and dip their shahita knives anyway, because even if the Nasi passes away, if he dies, he may die, he may not die. So they're going to go ahead and dip their shahitana. But by the kofis, even if he does die, there's another safek involved, right? And that is that we may have enough meat, right? There may be plenty of meat, right? Or even if not, they may go ahead and you may have also. Yeah, that's really it, right? He may die, he may not die, and if he does, he may still have enough meat from the Korban Pesach itself, and you don't have to bring the Korban Hagigah at all. So that's why you would have to go ahead, and even if you find the kofis, if you find the cleaver on the 14th, you also have to dip it. Right? The Mishnah continues. If the 14th of Nisan falls out on Shabbat, shochad b'miyad. Right? Even so, you could be shochait. Now, you could have thought, because it's maybe you say it's a safek over here, we're not sure, so don't use it on Shabbat, because if the sakin is really tameah, then the korban becomes pasul, and then now you went ahead and slaughtered a pasul korban on Shabbat, you violated Shabbat. Right? That would be a problem. No, so we don't want to say that. Rather, you go ahead and slaughter right away. Right? If you find the knife on the 15th, right? That's already Yom Tov. Right, Yom Tov, you're not allowed to go ahead and dip things in the mikveh, right? There's no tahara in the mikveh on Yom Tov. So we say for sure they taharu otam lifnei Yom Tov. For sure they went ahead and dipped it before Yom Tov. Now, nimtzet keshura lesakin, harei kesakin. Let's say you didn't just find it on the street, you found it tied to another knife, and you know the status of this other knife. You know this other knife was tahor. Okay, it doesn't matter when you found it, then we'll say that this knife is tahor. Or if you know it's tameh, that knife was tameh, then you say this other shahita knife that's tied to it is also tameh. It takes on that same status, right? And that's our Mishnah.